Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal 139 based on novel. So let's start. Ju Yi and Wang Lin don't have a deep relationship, but their brief moment of interaction at the celestial realm was engraved deeply inside Wang Lin's soul. A man so infatuated with a woman that he would rather burn his own origin soul than let her go. His infatuation didn't move anyone. However, the clarity his eyes showed when he burned his origin soul would move anyone who saw it. He gifted something as precious as the ascendant crystal only for Wang Lin to guard the female corpse. It was such a simple task, but it was all that mattered to him before his death. Then Ju Yi became the sword spirit for the Rain Celestial Sword, but the residual soul formed from his infatuation vanished and will no longer existed. At that moment, Ju Yi heard a sound as if the entire world had shattered before him. His heart died and his sword energy had no vitality. Using his body as a spirit, he chased Ling Tianhu through the void and vowed to kill Ling Tianhu. The him of that moment was looking for death because his only attachment to life was gone. Wang Lin witnessed the cruelty of the cultivation world throughout his life. Almost everyone had some hidden agenda in their hearts. Only a few people were worthy of him remembering them in his heart. Sichu Nan, Dun Tian, 1. Sect leader of the soul refining sect, Kai Hu, 2. Guy from Giant Demon Clan who befriend Wang Lin in Celestial Realm, Ju Yi. Back then he was only at the soul formation stage. Before Ju Yi, he was just a humble junior, but today Wang Lin was at the ascendant stage. He let out a deep breath and stepped into the gap. Even though he knew some things were dangerous, as a man with a conscience, there were things he had to do. Back then, when he saved 13, he battled the demon general on his own. Today, to save Ju Yi, he wouldn't stop even if he was being guarded by Sword Saint Ling Tianhu's divine sense. At the moment he stepped into the gap, the divine sense left by Sword Saint Ling Tianhu charged at him with its tyrannical nature. The divine sense attack seemed to solidify as it closed in on him. This tyrannical divine sense was like a sharp sword that could pierce the heavens, and it stabbed directly toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's outermost defense, the soul flag, also released a roar as 100 million soul fragments gathered to form a shield to block the sword. However, Ling Tianhu's divine sense was too powerful. The shield formed by 100 million soul fragments was penetrated by the sword and continued making its way toward Wang Lin. At this moment, Wang Lin revealed a hint of determination. He clearly knew that he shouldn't move forward at this moment, but if were to retreat, he would never have another chance to save Ju Yi. In a person's life, there will be things they must do. If they don't, then even if they live for tens of thousands of years, they would look back and see nothing but chaos. Wang Lin's determination turned into decisiveness and he took another step. At this moment, the sword intent formed from Ling Tianhu's divine sense closed in. Without a word, Wang Lin waved his right hand and the golden symbols instantly condensed around him. The sword intent landed on Wang Lin's body. White lightning moved between the bodies of the insects on the golden symbol surrounding Wang Lin's body. He took another step forward without any hesitation. More than half of the insects around him became stiff and fell off the golden symbol. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and collected them inside his bag. This step triggered a divine sense several times more intense than the last one. A series of thunderous roars echoed through the gap in the cliff. The countless echoes fused together and sounded like the wrath of the heavens that wanted all intruders to die. The soul fragments from the soul flag couldn't block it at all. It was broken once more and the attack landed directly on the devil armor. At this moment, the devilish energy in the devil armor collapsed and Wang Lin felt an unimaginable force hitting his body. He had a feeling that if he didn't retreat, he would immediately collapse and die. However, a feeling was only a feeling. With Wang Lin's self-control, he was able to suppress this feeling. His eyes became even more determined and the scattered devil he had been branding for a century was released by him for the first time. Wang Lin hadn't completely solidified the imprint on this scattered devil, so he hadn't refined it into his second origin soul. After releasing it, a black devil soul with a single horn charged out of Wang Lin's forehead. It came out laughing, and its laughter was filled with devilish energy. Its eyes were filled with confusion as it attempted to devour Ling Tianho's sword energy. At the moment the devil's soul appeared, devilish energy never seen before by Wang Lin poured endlessly out of the devilish armor. The energy went into the devil, making its body slowly turn corporeal. It devoured Ling Tianho's divine sense and then a violent aura exploded in its body. The tyrannical domain started rampaging inside its body. The devil let out a roar, and there was a hint of clarity in its struggling expression. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's origin soul trembled as he noticed the devil's soul's instability. Without any hesitation, he sent out a sliver of divine sense into the devil's soul to activate the imprint. Although the imprint wasn't stable, it had been imprinted for the past 100 years. Now that it was activated, the devil's soul was immediately sucked back into Wang Lin's body. The sound was muffled as if someone was chanting a spell. Even the devil armor around Wang Lin's body seemed to be affected as it turned into black gas and no longer stayed solid. Wang Lin quickly put it back into his bag of holding. He then immediately took another step and this time he moved forward 100 feet. However, the third divine sense that was even more intense than the last surged out from the depths of the gap. It rumbled like thunder and even seemed to contain Ling Tianho's voice. The sound was muffled as if someone was chanting a spell. The soul flag wasn't powerful enough to resist it, and the devil armor was now gone. The only thing left was the 100,000 life seals. At the moment the impact from the third divine sense arrived, the 100,000 life seals rapidly swelled to 1 million. Borrowing the sudden expansion, it was able to block Ling Tianho's divine sense. However, in just a moment, the 1 million life seals quickly collapsed. The veins on Wang Lin's face bulged as he let out a roar and slapped his bag of holding. The god-slaying war chariot flew out and turned into the thunder beast. The beast let out a roar, arrived before Wang Lin, and collided with the divine sense. The thunder surrounding the thunder beast began to sizzle. The thunder beast's body released large amount of thunder and continued to be pushed back by Ling Tianho's divine sense. Borrowing this moment of rest, Wang Lin's life seals quickly recovered back to 1 million. His eyes become cold. Sometimes, passive defense wasn't the best method. If he wanted to charge in, he would need to attack. Wang Lin took a step forward and the finger of death activated in his hand. The celestial spiritual energy inside his body surged as he shot out multiple fingers of death toward Ling Tianho's divine sense that was currently being blocked by the thunder beast. The black lights created by the fingers of death shot out like arrows, leaving behind ripples as they landed on Ling Tianho's divine sense. Wang Lin took another step and pointed forward again. The demonic finger appeared and the celestial spiritual energy in his body surged. Due to the 4 drops of celestial liquid from back then, even though he hadn't used any celestial jades, his celestial spiritual energy seemed endless, just like the slaughter energy. At this moment, the celestial spiritual energy in his body turned into devilish energy, and because of the scattered devil, the devilish energy was extremely pure. This energy shot out from Wang Lin's finger. There wasn't one shot, but 10. Shortly after, Wang Lin raised his right hand and the underworld river appeared. He took several more steps as all his spells appeared and bombarded Ling Tianho's divine sense. Wang Lin still felt like the power wasn't enough, and his eyes became cold. The 1 million life seals all turned into slaughter energy, the only one that didn't was the one hidden inside his origin soul. They fused into one strand of slaughter energy and charged out. As for Ling Tianho's sword energy, Wang Lin wasn't dumb enough to use it against Ling Tianho's divine sense. He was afraid it would switch to the other side the moment it appeared. At this moment, the entire tide abyss seemed to be trembling. The dirt and earth of the wall of the cliff seemed to be caught by a mysterious force as they began to float off the cliff wall. All of the spells suddenly collided with Ling Tianho's divine sense. At the same time, the thunder beast let out an earth-shattering roar as it turned into a ray of thunder. It charged directly at Ling Tianho's divine sense along with Wang Lin's spells. There was a series of muffled sounds coming out from the entrance to the tide abyss in the water demon country. The ground constantly shook as if powerful sound waves were passing through it. At this moment, even Murong Zhuo, who was deeper down in the tide abyss, felt the terrifying fluctuations above him. As for the 2 women beside him, they also quickly looked up, their eyes filled with terror. Simply terrifying. Could this be caused by Wang Lin? Xu Fei took a deep breath, and that hint of anger from when Wang Lin destroyed her divine sense disappeared. She made up her mind, she wouldn't dare to provoke someone like this. The powerful ripple continued to spread through the walls of the tide abyss until it reached the bottom. The bottom of the tide abyss was filled with corridors. The moment the sounds entered this area, they immediately reverberated endlessly. The corridors at the bottom of the tide abyss formed a square with a black hole in the center that led to the unknown. There was a large sword stabbed halfway into the wall of the corridor. The moment the sound ripple arrived at the sword, it loosened a bit. The sound wave spread far as it echoed through the corridor. At this moment, at the exit at the Fire Demon country where Greed and the Da Lu sword sect disciples had been trapped. Greed suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes were bright. Ling Tianho's aura. Could he have arrived early? No, although this aura belongs to Ling Tianhu, it is only part of it. In addition to his, there is another aura. This other aura is unfamiliar, but to appear at a time like this, could it be because of the token? Greed seemed casual as he swept the Da Lu sword sect disciples before closing his eyes. When the ripples arrived here, they were already really faint. Aside from Greed, no one else noticed. In the Da Lu sword sect, Ling Tianhu, who was wearing a Daoist robe and was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes. The sword spirit's seal. Ling Tianho's eyes had a profound gaze. The place I sealed that sword spirit was extremely well hidden. How could it have been discovered? However, as long as the sword spirit wishes to die, then the seal will never be broken. Ling Tianhu pondered for a moment before closing his eyes. In the tide abyss where Juyi was sealed, Wang Lin's clothes were being swept back by a violent wind and were flapping in the wind. With his hair floating in the air, he was forced back several steps, then his eyes became cold. The attack earlier destroyed the third divine sense left by Ling Tianhu. However, the price was great. The thunder beast had shattered and the pieces had to return to the god-slaying war chariot. An opening was made in Ling Tianho's divine sense, but it quickly began to close and was about to disappear. The blood inside Wang Lin's body surged and many of his meridians were blocked. The celestial spiritual energy was no longer flowing smoothly through his body, but he didn't immediately adjust his condition. Instead, he took a step and charged like a meteor through the gap in Ling Tianho's divine sense. This time Wang Lin used his full speed, and there was a thunderous rumble as a result. The gap wasn't as narrow as he had imagined, so he charged directly into the depths of the gap, and here he could faintly feel Juyi's aura. Trespasser, die. Ling Tianho's divine sense appeared once more. This time the divine sense sent a tyrannical message that directly entered Wang Lin's ears. This voice shook him so much that he was involuntarily pushed back. Cracking sounds came from the entire crack in the cliff due to this divine sense, and countless small cracks appeared on the cliff wall. Wang Lin's origin soul weakened after being shaken by this divine sense. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and his face immediately paled. This Ling Tianhu is too powerful. Wang Lin took a deep breath. If just the divine sense left behind to seal Juyi was already this powerful, how strong would he be if he arrived personally? Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He slapped his bag of holding and a crystal clear brush appeared in his hand. Holding the celestial brush, his hand quickly moved before his body and a golden symbol appeared. The moment this symbol appeared, it immediately lit up the pitch-black gap. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin once again drew. 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, 4 strokes. Without a single pause, he drew 7 strokes. This was the first time Wang Lin had drawn more than 1 stroke with the brush. Although he drew more than 10 symbols earlier when dealing with the bugs, they were all the most simple one-stroke symbols. With each stroke, Wang Lin could feel that a part of his origin soul had entered the symbol. The 7-stroke symbol contained 7 portions of his origin soul. 7 strokes was Wang Lin's limit. When he refined the brush back in the soul refining tribe, he tested it out. He couldn't draw the 8th stroke because his origin soul couldn't split into 9 parts. There was a copy in his body, and there was 1 copy in each of the 7 symbols. Unless he gave up his body and had all of his origin soul merged with the symbols, he wouldn't be able to draw the 8th stroke. At the moment he drew the seventh stroke, all of the celestial spiritual energy charged out of his body like runaway horses and surged into the seven-stroke symbol. The 7 strokes fused into one and became a circular symbol. This symbol looked extremely strong, as if it contained the universe. It appeared as if the sun had descended from the sky and fell in the gap. Not only were the rays of golden light dazzling, they even hurt the soul. The celestial symbol that was created with the celestial brush using celestial spiritual energy was considered a complete celestial spell. Its light pierced through the cliff of the tide abyss like a sword. At this moment, if one were to look from the outside, they would be able to clearly see the golden light coming out from the crack. This golden light continued to spread and soon lit up the water demon country tide abyss entrance that hadn't been lit up in countless years. The 7-stroke symbol contained 7 portions of Wang Lin's origin soul, allowing him to control it like it was his own body. He drifted it directly toward the depths of the crack. Ling Tianho's divine sense began to show signs of disappearing after being pierced by the golden light. However, it immediately stopped dissipating and Ling Tianho's divine sense let out a roar before charging out. This time the divine sense took the appearance of Ling Tianho. A Ling Tianho wearing a Daoist robe with a tyrannical gaze on his face closed in step by step. He then became blurry until he turned into a ray of sword energy and charged directly at the symbol. When the symbol and sword energy collided, violent shockwaves spread like crazy. The intense rumbling caused countless cracks to collapse. The shockwave was so powerful that it even caused many places in the water demon country to shake and shocked countless people of the demon spirit land. Wang Lin's expression was extremely pale and he coughed out 6 mouthfuls of blood. The blood contained celestial spiritual energy, and when it landed on the ground, it created 6 deep marks. The symbol shattered and 6 of the 7 divine senses shattered. The last one returned to Wang Lin's body before the symbol collapsed. As for the sword energy created from Ling Tianho's divine sense, it had dimmed, but its sharpness had not decreased. However, the symbol that collapsed was, after all, a real celestial spell. Although the symbol had collapsed, countless golden specks had surrounded the sword and formed a golden cage. Although it couldn't trap the sword energy for long, it could still trap it for a moment. Damage to the origin soul was considered a great injury for cultivators. Wang Lin's eyes were completely red, and the heart of slaughter appeared. Since he had already arrived at this point, there was no backing out. He leaped over the trapped sword energy and charged directly toward the depths of the crack. He closed in with just one step. There was a purple spirit body hanging before him. This spirit body was Ju Yi. Ju Yi's eyes were closed, and his face was filled with confusion. Aside from the area between his eyebrows, his entire body was covered in purple. This purple seemed to be alive, as it continuously squirmed. The purple on Ju Yi's face was like a bunch of silk threads that seemed like they were trying to devour the golden light from between his eyebrows. There was a 30-foot formation on the ground under Ju Yi. Strands of purple gas were coming out from the formation and entering Ju Yi's body. There were 4 treasured swords stabbed into the ground at the 4 corners of the formation. The light the 4 treasured swords emitted slowly fused with the ground. At the same time, there were fist-sized balls of light on 3 of the 4 swords. The balls of light gave off the aura of a powerful divine sense. Senior Ju Yi. It had been many years since Wang Lin had seen Ju Yi. However, at this moment, Ju Yi was surrounded by this purple gas. If that golden light between Ju Yi's eyebrows was devoured by the purple gas, then Ju Yi would forever belong to Ling Tianho with no chance of awakening. The formation that was sealing and refining Ju Yi was something that Ling Tianho made personally. He called it the Celestial Refining Demon Transformation Formation. This formation was very powerful, but the main focus was on the 4 swords on the ground. Ling Tianho once refined 4 small worlds into 4 origin soul swords. These 4 swords were a projection of those 4 origin soul swords. In order to increase their power, Ling Tianho left 4 divine senses above the swords, making the formation even more powerful. As for the purple gas, it was a demonic aura. It came from the water demon country's remnant ancient demon soul. The reason why Ling Tianho secretly came all those years ago to seal Ju Yi here was because he had some dealings with the ancient demon in the water demon country. They had a good relationship. The location of this crack was in a hidden vein. This vein was hidden underground and was directly connected to the capital of the water demon country. This allowed the ancient demon to send demonic energy through the hidden vein at any time. The demonic spiritual energy would then be absorbed by the formation. Then the formation would convert it into the celestial refining seal and slowly invade Juyi's spirit. Ling Tianhu and the ancient demon of the water demon country had made a deal. This deal was considered complete after Ling Tianhu sealed Juyi here. Each of the ancient demon remnant souls in the 9 countries had their own plans. The ancient demon of the water demon country was looking for a spirit body that could withstand his own demonic spiritual energy. This process was very slow but also very stable. As long as the golden light between Juyi's eyebrows was devoured, he would become the water demon country's ancient demon's body. Ling Tianhu didn't plan this ahead of time, but he was constantly chased by Juyi after leaving the celestial realm. Juyi was forcibly made the celestial sword spirit by the white-robed woman and had gained powerful spells. In addition to that, Ling Tianhu had already suffered injuries from the white-robed woman after they fought several times, so Ling Tianhu's was in an extremely embarrassing state. In Ling Tianhu's view, this sword spirit wanted to die and even use the limited life sword energy of the celestial sword like crazy. It has to be said that the Rain Celestial Sword was the #1 treasure of the Rain Celestial realm. Although he obtained one, he didn't dare to take it out before Juyi. He knew that the moment he took it out, it would be controlled by Juyi. Although Ling Tianhu was powerful, he was injured by the celestial print. This print was simply too powerful, and its prestige was even greater. Ling Tianhu concluded that this celestial spell was definitely not something a mere celestial general could use. This celestial spell was definitely a high-quality celestial spell and was something only the celestial emperor could use. One finger was able to injure him. Then, adding the fact that Juyi had attacked without any regard to his own life and the constant use of the Rain Celestial Sword's life sword energy, Ling Tianhu was forced into such an embarrassing state. However, there was no doubt about Ling Tianhu's power. After all, he was only in an embarrassing state temporarily. Then he lured Juyi to the demon spirit land and sealed him there, completing his agreement with the ancient demon in the water demon country. This way it was 2 birds with 1 stone. However, Ling Tianhu didn't expect that hundreds of years later, Wang Lin would appear and change everything. Inside the crack, Wang Lin looked at Juyi, who was sealed within the formation. Juyi's body gave off a thick death aura. Back when Tinga disappeared, his heart had already died. Wang Lin whispered, "Senior Juyi." He could feel that aside from external forces, the main reason for Juyi's death aura was himself. He wholeheartedly wanted to die. After Wang Lin saw the formation before him, he knew that he couldn't break this formation. If anyone could break this formation, it could only be Juyi himself. Although Wang Lin's voice was soft, it echoed through the cracks. Juyi's eyes trembled as he slowly opened them. His eyes were empty, and within this emptiness there was ultimately sadness. His face was still in a daze. Just at this moment, Ling Tianhu's divine sense broke through the golden cage. It turned around and charged directly at Wang Lin once more. A soft sigh echoed across the crack. The sigh came from Juyi, and at the moment the sigh spread across the cave, Ling Tianhu's divine sense charging toward Wang Lin immediately collapsed. This sword energy dissipated but reformed into a ball of light that floated motionlessly above the 4th sword. "You should leave." Juyi still hadn't looked at Wang Lin. He closed his eyes once more. Wang Lin's origin soul suffered great injuries just to get here, and now he didn't even have the power to leave. His origin soul was now only the size of a baby, and its originally crystal-clear body was now murky. He had used all of his spells and everything he had to finally reach this point, because Juyi was his benefactor. However, after doing all of this, all he got were those 3 plain words from Juyi. "You should leave." Wang Lin revealed a thick, mocking smiling. This smile wasn't toward other people but toward himself. "Your heart is already dead, and I indeed shouldn't have come." Wang Lin shook his head and turned around to leave. At the moment he entered here and lost 6 portions of his origin soul, he had already repaid his debt to Juyi. "Heart is dead." At the moment Tinga left, my heart really did die, the sadness on Ju Yi's dazed face became even stronger. In the several hundred years he had been sealed here by Ling Tianhu, he had constantly been in a state of confusion. He knew of the ancient demon's invasion, but he didn't want to stop it. However, the golden light was his love for Ting Er, and he didn't want to throw it away. After letting out a sigh, Ju Yi raised his completely purple right hand and flicked his finger. A ray of golden light suddenly appeared, and it contained a very powerful sword energy. This was the same sword energy that put Ling Tianhu in such a sorry state. This was the life sword energy of the Rain Celestial Sword. Ju Yi only had 99 rays of this sword energy. When he was hunting Ling Tianhu, he used most of his life sword energy. Now he only had 4 rays left. The sword energy charged directly at the ball of light above the fourth sword and directly pierced through it. Although Ling Tianhu's divine sense was powerful, it couldn't compare to Ju Yi's Rain Celestial Sword life sword energy. The ball of light shattered and Ling Tianhu's divine sense was destroyed. The divine sense turned into specks of light. With the help of the sword energy, the specks of light flowed into Wang Lin's body. At this moment, those specks of light entered Wang Lin's origin soul. His damaged origin soul began to recover at a crazy speed. In almost an instant, not only did his origin soul completely recover, it also had a feeling of expanding. This feeling slowly stopped, but the remaining specks of light didn't dissipate. They automatically found Ling Tianhu's sword energy inside Wang Lin's origin soul and fused with it. The sword energy suddenly became 30% more powerful than before. Ju Yi slowly said, "My life sword energy can't be stored inside you, so I can't give it to you. You were injured because of me, so I helped you recover. You should go. Don't come back." Wang Lin let out a sigh and started walking toward the exit. Then he slapped the bag of holding and the pagoda with Ju Yi's divine sense appeared. Wang Lin looked at it before throwing it behind him. "I have already completed the promise from back then. I will no longer guard this pagoda." Ju Yi suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the pagoda. The sadness in his eyes was enough to cover the sky. "Ting Er." Wang Lin's foot stopped, but he didn't turn around. He said, "Her name is not Ting Er. If my guess is correct, her name is Qing Shuang." Ju Yi's spirit body trembled. He raised his head, and the emptiness in his eyes had disappeared. Instead, it was replaced with energy. "Qing Shuang?" Wang Lin turned around and looked at Ju Yi. He didn't speak but through Qing Lin's jade. Ju Yi's eyes narrowed and he caught the jade. He immediately scanned it with his divine sense and his expression changed. After a long time, he bitterly said to himself, "Qing Shuang." Wang Lin's voice was calm as he slowly said, "The daughter of Celestial Emperor Qing Lin." This Qing Lin was the most powerful person in the celestial realm. Rumors have it that he escaped when the celestial realm collapsed. He is hidden in his cave in this demon spirit land, healing. The energy in his eyes became even more intense, and a trace of vitality gradually appeared in his body. The purple gas around him began to speed up, but it couldn't stop his vitality from appearing. "You are saying that Ting Er's father is healing in a cave here? Wang Lin, are you sure about this?" Wang Lin looked at Ju Yi and shook his head. "I didn't see it with my own eyes, so I'm uncertain." The confusion on Ju Yi's face gradually disappeared as he muttered, "Right, how can anyone be sure of these kinds of things? Only, if Ting Er's father is really here, then with his cultivation, he must be able to awaken Ting Er." The current Ju Yi seemed to have forgotten that Ting Er was only a residual soul fragment formed in the female corpse from his 1,000 years of obsession. It was now gone and no longer existed. "I want to take Ting Er to meet her father and let Ting Er wake up." The vitality in Ju Yi's body became stronger and stronger. The purple gas surrounding him seemed to have gone crazy. It charged at the speck of golden light between his eyebrows like crazy. "Scatter for me." His eyes lit up, and the purple gas surrounding him immediately began to struggle in an attempt to retaliate. However, it had no effect and was quickly expelled from Ju Yi's body. Soon, all of the purple gas was forced out of Ju Yi's body and the large cloud of purple gas disappeared through the formation on the ground. Ju Yi was the Rain Celestial Sword's sword spirit. If the ancient demon of the water demon country personally came, then Juyi might not stand a chance since he only had 3 life sword energies left. However, simply expelling the ancient demon's demonic spiritual energy was not difficult for Juyi. The purple gas disappeared and Juyi's body was crystal clear like flowing water. He looked at the pagoda and waved his right hand. A ray of sword energy immediately flew out from the tower. This sword was small and it was obvious from its appearance that it was made for a female. This sword was one of the Rain Celestial Swords. Juyi was the Rain Celestial Sword's sword spirit. His body turned into a ray of light and immediately flew into this small sword. At this moment, the crack was filled with sword energy. Just at this moment, the remaining 3 balls of light immediately flew into the air. They turned into divine sense and flew at Juyi. A cold snort came from the sword, and a ray of Juyi's life sword energy immediately flew out. An earth-shattering sound suddenly echoed across the entire tide abyss. It was as if the fierce sword energy wanted to cut open the entire tide abyss. The 3 balls of light immediately shattered and were devoured by Juyi. As for the projections of the 4 swords on the ground, they were also shattered by the life sword energy. The formation on the ground shattered with the swords. The crack that sealed Juyi immediately collapsed. Ling Tianhu, although you had me sealed for hundreds of years, if it wasn't for the fact my heart was dead, how could your seal trap me? I'm the Rain Celestial Sword's sword spirit. My life is as long as the heavens and earth and I inherited the 4 great sword intent from ancient times. Although I can't kill you, unless I allow it, you can't seal me. In these hundreds of years, although my heart was dead, I could constantly feel the inheritance of the ancient sword intent. If we meet again, let us see whether or not my cultivation is still the same as before. Juyi flew out the moment before the crack collapsed. Wang Lin immediately followed Juyi. 1 sword and 1 person appeared outside the crack. Juyi appeared from the celestial sword. He still looked the same as before, only it looked like more time had passed. He held the pagoda in his hand. After looking at the pagoda, he sent it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin, keep this safe for me. Wang Lin nodded. He caught the pagoda and put it inside his bag of holding. Juyi's gaze fell on Wang Lin, and there was a hint of gratitude in his eyes. He said, for you to reach this step in just a few hundred years is worthy of congratulations. Wang Lin let out a sigh and said, thanks to Senior for the Ascendant Crystal. Otherwise, Wang Lin shook his head and didn't go on. The Ascendant Crystal was your reward for guarding Ting so there is no need to thank me. If there is any thanks to be said, it should be me thanking you. I didn't think that the 2 of us would meet again after several hundred years. Thinking about it now, if it wasn't for the fact that you were determined to find me, we wouldn't have met today. Juyi saw that Wang Lin wanted to speak, but he waved his hand to stop Wang Lin. He pondered for a bit and asked, Wang Lin, I remember there were 2 celestial swords in the pagoda. Do you still have the other one? Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the celestial sword Shu Ligua was in flew out. Shu Ligua was inside the celestial sword and immediately felt Juyi's existence. He was also a spirit body, so the feeling he had at this moment was very strong. The other was like the master of all sword spirits, and he was in awe. He even felt that this person was the real sword spirit of the sword he was in. He was merely in someone else's home. Hey! After Juyi saw the celestial sword, his eyes lit up. He pointed with his right hand and Shu Ligua immediately flew out from the celestial sword. His face was filled with the urge to flatter. This was even more intense than when he was facing Wang Lin. Senior, Junior's name is Shu Ligua. It was my master who made me live inside the celestial sword. It was not because I wanted to. Wang Lin's expression immediately became ugly and he coldly looked at Shu Ligua. Juyi laughed and said to Wang Lin, I can't pass my spells on to you, but this spirit body is pretty good. I can allow him to comprehend the ancient sword intent and accelerate his growth until he can completely control this celestial sword. This video will end here.